Hey folks, welcome back to Tech More Tech. I'm Carlo, and in this video we're going to talk about light strips. As always, if you prefer a written version, head on over to techmoretech.com or check the link in the description just below that like button. Today I'm going to go over 6 popular light strips off Amazon. There are definitely more out there, but these are the best sellers, and honestly some of the other ones were just out of stock at the time of filming, like the LifeX strip. Nevertheless, I'll go over all the various qualities and let you know which one is the best light strip for your smart home at the end. Starting with the granddaddy of them all, Phillips Hue. The Phillips Hue light strip has been around for so long that it's almost ubiquitous with smart lighting. It's gotten a few updates over the years, but remains at the same $80 price point. It has a brightness rating of 1600 lumens, which is quite bright. White accuracy is pretty good at both cool and warm temperatures. It actually gets impressively orange when it's set to the lowest setting. Color accuracy is pretty good as well, though there are some questions in regards to the purples and pinks and how it differentiates them. This is probably where it could improve the most. Compatibility is great as it works with every device. The newest Hue light strips also have Bluetooth, so you don't even necessarily need the bridge in order for it to work. But if you want to experience the full feature set, then you will have to upgrade to the Hue bridge. If you do have the bridge, then it will use Zigbee as the connection, which is quite reliable and won't cause any issues with your Wi-Fi. The Hue app itself is quite full-fledged, and if you wanted to do everything from there, you could. It's quite intuitive to use and also has some basic automation controls available. Within the app, you can also set the power on state, which allows you to decide how the light strip will behave when the power goes out. A lot of smart lights will default to on, which isn't great if it happens in the middle of the night and it's in your bedroom. Even though the light strip can only show one color at a time, the Hue light strip can be synced with your TV screen or monitor using the Hue Play system. The ecosystem surrounding Hue is enormous and can't be ignored. Between the software capabilities and the hardware accessories, it's unmatched. The price is certainly steep at $80 for an 80-inch light strip, but if you're looking to build out a larger ecosystem of smart lighting, Hue isn't a bad choice, but it will cost you. Sylvania Osram is next up, and it is the other Zigbee smart light strip being tested today. The brightness is unknown as I couldn't find it anywhere noted in tech specs or marketing material. The white accuracy is okay, but not great. Has a bit of a greenish tint to it on the cooler side of things, though the warm orange tones are pretty decent. Colors are quite good in my opinion. Not incredibly bright, but definitely bright enough for some nice accent lighting like I have under my shelf. The only color I found that it struggles a bit with is red. It often looks a little bit too pinkish or sort of coral colored. This is the only light strip tested today that requires a hub because it comes in the Zigbee configuration. I have it connected to my home assistant, but you can also have it connected to SmartThings or your Echo devices, or really any Zigbee stick. Because of this, there is no HomeKit support, aside from HomeBridge, which is unofficial of course. You don't need to use the app at all with this device as you're going to be connected to another hub anyways, so you can just use that app to control this light. There are no special features from a software or hardware point of view either, it's just a nice simple light strip. It does thankfully have a power on state by default, which is a nice option. It's slightly shorter than the other light strips being tested today at 72 inches, though you can buy extension kits if you want. At $53, it kind of sits in no man's land in my opinion. Not so expensive to rule it out, but not so cheap that it's a bargain. Paired with no special features makes it a bit of a tough buy unless you really want a Zigbee light strip, but you don't want to take the DIY approach of buying a separate light strip and Zigbee controller. Next up, we have the Nano light strip. I reviewed this one a few weeks ago as it was an exciting addition to the HomeKit lineup of smart lighting. At 2200 lumens, this light strip is really bright, like blindingly so. White colors are excellent, both warm and cool, thanks to the RGB CCWW LEDs. This means it has 2 cool white and 2 warm white LEDs around each color LED. Colors are also very accurate and bright with a CRI of over 85. Within the Nanoleaf app, you can set the adaptive lighting settings for this light strip, which is slowly becoming more common, within HomeKit at least. This is where the color of the light strip follows the time of day, being more orangey in the morning and evening, and more bluish during the day. A nice feature to have, as I'm sure other companies are going to start implementing this eventually as well. The only downside is that there is no power on state option, so if you do lose power, it will turn on to the last on state of the light strip. The reason I bring this up is it's definitely something to consider when you choose the location of this light. The light strip also uses Thread and has Bluetooth as a backup if you don't have a Thread border router like a HomePod Mini. If you're connected via Thread, the performance is instant in terms of connectivity and reliability. If you're connected via Bluetooth, this leaves a lot to be desired, as do most Bluetooth smart devices, to be honest. There are a few accessories you can get within the Nanoleaf ecosystem, but it's a shame that you can't sync it to your monitor or screen in the same way you can with Nanoleaf panels. At $50 for 80 inches, it falls into the sort of medium cost category, kind of like the Sylvania one, though for HomeKit users, this is the best light strip to get. If you're not a HomeKit user, this one isn't really for you in my opinion. Next up we have Sengled's LED strip. This one is Wi-Fi based, which means you don't need a hub unless you want to connect to HomeKit, in which case you need to buy their hub. This one is instantly the best value as it's only $35 and is 16 feet long, 2.5 times longer than the competition at a much lower price. Do you even care how it performs at that price? Yeah, you probably do. It has an eye-melting brightness of 2700 lumens. Wherever you place this thing, make sure it is indirect, so it's facing a wall or facing the ceiling or something, because it's going to be very uncomfortable to look straight at this light. White is very white with almost no color tint to it at all. It can get quite orangey, but not quite as much as some of the competition. Color saturation and accuracy is very good with no noticeable errors in any of the colors. This is really surprising just given the price. As with most products, you get what you pay for, but Sengled is definitely punching above their weight class here. It's also the first light strip so far that uses Wi-Fi, which is both good and bad. It's good because you don't require any extra hardware like a hub to get it set up, so it's a very viable option for most people. But as I've stated many times in previous videos, I personally like to try and limit the number of Wi-Fi devices on my network for reliability and performance reasons, and security. The Sengled app is pretty bare bones in my opinion, and the colors are really difficult to choose from. So I would most likely set it up once and then use a different app to control it, like the Amazon Echo app or something similar. There's no power on state option that I could find, so again, consider this when you're thinking about where to place the light strip. Once again, the price is $35 for a 16-foot light strip, and a good one at that. That's great value, and it places this pretty high up in my opinion. Second to last, we have the TP-Link Casa light strip. This is the only one being tested today that has individually addressable LEDs, meaning we have all sorts of cool effects that we can do. So far, all the light strips have only been able to show one color at a time. The brightness is rated at 1400 lumens, which is pretty nice for ambient lighting, but based on my testing, it appeared way brighter than that. So this can definitely be used to light up a decently sized room. White accuracy is excellent. The cool whites are very bright with minimal blue tint to them. The orange warm colors are also pretty great and plenty bright. Color accuracy is really good, as it is with all TP-Link Casa devices that I found. Reds can seem a little bit orangey at the high brightness settings, but you really only notice if you're trying to compare it or if you're really looking for something to sort of judge. Lowering the brightness a bit seemed to solve that problem for me at least. Like I mentioned, this is the only light strip being tested today that can do multiple colors at the same time. I tried to get my hands on a LifeX Z strip, however, they were sold out everywhere around me at the time of filming. Multicolor effects are really neat, especially if you're throwing a party and want to add even more flair to your smart home than a standard light strip. The Casa app has a bunch of them already preset that you can toggle through and play around with. Unfortunately, you can't set it up to sync with your TV or anything like that, as that would require a lot more hardware and software to do, so keep that in mind as well if that's what you were thinking. I reviewed the Casa app in much more detail in a different video, link in the description down below if you're curious about the capabilities, as there are a lot of them. Casa devices seem to have this goofy semi-power on state where you can have it set to a specific scene, but it'll always turn on. So ultimately, you can set a 1% brightness scene that will be applied whenever the power is cycled. Hopefully it doesn't wake you up. At $70 for an 80-inch light strip, it's not particularly cheap, but it's very bright and has multi-color support, which not many other light strips support actually, especially if you don't want to DIY it yourself. So if you really want that, it's a really good choice. Lastly, we have Govi, the budget $28 light strip that also performs pretty well. I couldn't find an official lumens rating for the brightness, but it's definitely on the lower end of the spectrum from the ones I've tested here today. I wasn't terribly impressed with the cool white color as it was too bluish for my liking. The warm white was better and more accurate. The rest of the colors were pretty good with no obvious faults. They just weren't quite as bright as the competition. Govi also connects via Wi-Fi and is compatible with Amazon and Google Home, but not HomeKit. Govi is also the only other light strip that has the option of syncing with the lights on your TV using their TV Sync kit. I haven't tested this out yet, but it's a much cheaper alternative to the Phillips Hue option. However, I think their biggest drawback is they have way too many options. Between their Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, RGB, RGBW, remote controlled options, they have like a million different light strips that are barely different from one another. Figuring out which one to buy was a whole review process in itself. At $20 for an 80-inch light strip, it seems like a pretty good deal if it wasn't for the Sengled. There's almost no reason to get this light strip over the Sengled as it's only $7 more for a much longer, brighter, and better light strip. So all of this brings us to the golden question. Which light strip should you buy? If you're a HomeKit user, the Nano light strip gets my recommendation. Amazing performance with thread and awesome brightness and colors make it a very solid choice. The fact that it was sold out for 3 months kind of helps prove that case. If you want multicolor on the same light strip, TP-Link is the obvious choice. When I get my hands on a LifeX light strip, I will put those two head to head. But for now, due to sheer availability, the TP-Link Casa light strip is a very good choice to go with. And bang for buck, an overall winner is the Sengled light strip. For only $35 to have a 16-foot quality light strip is fantastic value. Bravo, Sengled. Links to all these products are in the description below if you want to check them out for yourselves and help out the channel. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe button for plenty more videos to come. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below and I will get to them as best I can. And until next time, see ya.